our industry is very, very tough right now. Materials from wood to nails to, brick, everything. And then now food, liquor, supply chain management, shipping, everything is very expensive, right? So, but if you come in with the right formula and you come in with, great standards of service and quality, then you're going to be okay.
This is Shed Talk. All right, from the first streetcar on 17th Avenue to the bustling Trolley 5 Brewery, our guest today is a true Calgarian legend. He's the president of the Alberta Hospitality Association and the mastermind behind Trolley 5. And we all know Trolley 5, an amazing place. With 35 years in the hospitality, from Electric Avenue hotspots. I don't know how many people know about Electric Avenue, but it's an amazing place. And running Señor Frogs. He's done it all. And did you know he's also a professional, I wouldn't say professional volleyball player, but a volleyball player that has just won with the Western Canada, what is it, the Tier 4A provincial win. Is that correct?
Provincial champions last year, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Born and raised in Calgary. He's passionate about the city's future. And you know what? Let's get started right now. Ernie Sue, thank you very much for coming on Shed Talk.
Yeah, brother, it's great to be here. It's good to see you.
Oh my gosh, it's been, you know what? The first time we ever met and on Electric Avenue and not realize, and I don't know if people realize how big the hospitality industry is.
Oh, it's the number one employer privately. Yeah, for sure.
And being in the hospitality industry, and you look at this, and during COVID, that's when we first met, was on barriers.
Yeah.
I had no idea how important.
Thank you for that, by the way, for helping us out during that time. It was crazy.
Oh, and it actually, it was like one of those eyes wide open that you actually got to see it and understand what hospitality is truly about. Yeah. And you're one of the guys on 17th Avenue that has started up Trolley 5 because of a streetcar.
Yeah, I mean, as a born and raised Calgarian, my business partner and I, who's also born and raised in Calgary, we wanted to make sure that our brewery was tied into a piece of history in the area. And in the 1920s, Calgary had a trolley car system, and the route number 5 ran down 17th Avenue.
That is absolutely amazing. Yeah. I actually had to look that up, and I was like, I had no idea, and I'm a Calgarian.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you a little bit about this because I didn't realize how important the hospitality industry is. As being president, of the Alberta Hospitality Association. How important is that?
Well, I think it's important because, so many people come through our industry. I mean, it was great, not great, but, during COVID, we had a lot of support from the health industry, from the doctors, from the nurses, because so many of them have worked in our industry at one point or another. Our industry is fantastic at getting people to have life skills and get them ready to go on to do whatever they're going to do outside of our industry. But, our industry it's this, man. It's building relationships and being able to go out and enjoy people's company and just be on that positive side of the spectrum.
Well, dealing on electric, or I'm going to go back.
Electric Ave, man, the best.
Way back in the day in Electric Ave, and a lot of people remember this.
Yeah.
What was one of the greatest challenges back then? Because they didn't even have an hotel association back then.
Oh man, the challenges were the biggest challenge was trying to keep capacity in line at those places, the Fox and Firkin, the King's Horse, Claudios, right? That avenue was crazy. It was, I think 19 nightclubs in a 5-block span, right? So, what a great entertainment district back in the day. Yeah, it was crazy. I think. I know Ralph Klein at that time wanted to take the avenue and almost turn it into a Las Vegas Strip at one point. But man, it was a fun time back then for sure.
So taking 17th Avenue, Electric Avenue, correlate the two together.
Wow, so different. 17th Avenue is more of a dining district now, right? Great retail still, thank goodness. Back when we had our other restaurants, Classic Jack's and 1410. We were there because of the retailers. We were there because of the cool clothing stores, the cool thrift shops. And there's still some around. HG Vintage is there on kicking ass as always. But 17th Avenue is more dining, more pub, more restaurant. Electric Avenue was sheer nightclub, right till 2 a.m. So,
And then the noise bylaw back then to the noise bylaws now are probably totally different.
oh, completely different. Yeah, Electric Avenue would not make it right now with the noise bylaws for sure.
Now, with the revitalization, and I use this loosely, revitalization of Calgary, the downtown core, or not even the downtown core, but I'm talking about building the new stadium. How does that impact?
Hospitality?
And because you're also a member of what is it, on the committee for 17th Avenue, correct?
I was on the board there for 2 years. Yeah, the BIA. The new rank, okay, it's important. Every single councillor, including our mayor, campaigned that we need the new event center to be a key piece of being a world-class city again. The fact that it's been delayed this long it's been painful to watch, but it's great to see it's finally moving forward. And it's going to be, Tourism Calgary, I'd have to get the exact year, but they reported $79 million of lost revenue to Edmonton in tourism funds, right? And that was surely on concerts. So that was back when it was Beyonce, Timberlake, Jay-Z. They all played the new stadium in Edmonton because the Saddle Dome was just too old.
Now, do you see the revitalization through 17th Avenue even better? Because I know during COVID, they tore that whole area up, and then they had to put, what was it?
The construction, yeah.
The construction. How does that affect everything that you guys are doing?
Well, I mean, the construction in that area won't really affect 17th Avenue. Thank goodness the sidewalks are going to finally be done this year, and hopefully we don't see any more construction on 17th Avenue. But in that area, the new event center area, the construction will be pretty heavy, but it's going to produce an amazing result for sure.
So with 17th Avenue, and I keep going back to 17th Avenue because I love that whole area, that whole strip, the 14th, and then you deal in that whole area. What has been one of the greatest challenges you've had in business running Trolley 5 on that area?
The construction for sure. We opened up 1 year. We were able to operate 1 year before the full road construction hit 17th Avenue. That was a very key piece as to why I wanted to join the board. The communication process, we were able to get the construction delayed by 1 year because what I had found out being a fresh new member of that board was none of the businesses knew it was going to be a curb-to-curb closure. So back then it was Evan Woolley as the councillor. I believe Ryan Murray was the communications officer for the city, and both of them were emphatic that every business on 17th Avenue knew that it was going to be a full curb-to-curb closure for 9 to 10 blocks, and none of the businesses knew. Got my running shoes on, walked up and down the street, asked the businesses, "Were you aware?" And there wasn't one piece of literature that stated curb-to-curb. It all stated 1 lane remaining going each way. So that was something. It was crazy for us to be able to get out of that. Unfortunately, over 80 businesses closed during that time. They couldn't get out. It was brutal.
So 80 businesses on 17th Avenue actually closed their doors
during the construction. Yeah, during the 2 years. Yeah.
Have they come back after that? Or?
I would say this: the Michael Thompson, who's one of the city managers that handles these infrastructure projects, was excellent. Peter Rudolph, who's handling the finishing off of our sidewalks on 17th, has been absolutely dynamite, and the businesses have been happy with mostly overall with the handling of the sidewalk projects in the last year and a half, because they have done a very good job. However, in our association, I look at Marda Loop Altador right now, and again, the construction piece there is been horrific. Like the businesses, retail, and restaurants in that area, to dental services, anybody that has any type of business in that area, it has been massively challenging for them. Yeah.
And then, what would you recommend, or how could that have been a lot better managed?
Well, I think, going into the second year of the curb-to-curb closures on 17th, it was managed really well. They had an excellent project manager on the ground. that was communicating with every business. Hey, this is what's going to happen today. We're going to be out in front of your location up until 11 o'clock. You'll be able to reopen for lunch. And it wasn't just restaurants, it was for all the retail as well. So as time went on the 17th Avenue project, having that foreman piece was very key to everyone having a better experience, guests included, for the plan that was laid out to the businesses. So Marda Loop, Altador, however, that plan has not been, like, looking at the plan that's been given to the businesses there has not been followed. And I don't know if you've been down in Marda Loop or Altador. There is 28 blocks of construction going on within 5 blocks. So it's not just the businesses. Residents are extremely frustrated and fed up as well.
So it's interesting because you talk about it, you could take 17th Avenue and it comes down to managing, having the right people in place, and just like any business. And then all of a sudden, here they are in Marda Loop. It's not being managed properly by the city, meaning it's not the city as a whole. It's probably a department that's saying communications are key in anything you do in business.
Well, I look at like Diner Deluxe or Belmont Diner, two of these unbelievably great restaurants that give back to their community at any given point in time with, whether it's charity or help hosting fundraisers or giving gift cards or what have you. And the amount of times that their front doors has been a wood plank in the middle of a massive pit, so it could have definitely been done better. I think it's frustrating for businesses to look out the window and it's 25 degrees out, and out of the 9 blocks that closed, 2 blocks are being worked on. So, yeah.
And it's going to be a long haul here with that construction.
Well,
still.
apparently it is, hopefully it is going to be done by the end of next year, 2025. So, we'll see. We'll see. I have a meeting with a number of the restaurants in that area this week, and we'll see where they're at.
So being the president of the association, biggest challenge?
Oh man, there's been so many challenges for our industry.
But the biggest one?
I think like the biggest challenge right now was obviously the inflation. Like the inflation has affected, every restaurant at every single level. I mean, just look at grocery right now, right? Look at the price of chicken, beef. It's no secret that the inflation on food was quite high in the last 2 years, right? So, and we can't keep raising prices. Like we're going to price people out. They're not going to be able to go out. So, that Canada Restaurants report of 3 to 6% profit for an average restaurant, that is pretty accurate. And it's barely breaking even, but restaurateurs continue to do what they do because they love it.
Interesting, because you look at the hospitality industry and how did it get, so let's talk about that hospitality industry because it is the largest, okay?
Private,
and
yeah.
Private. And why did you start, who started it, yourself or?
No. It would have been Leslie Aquino, who sits on the Canada Restaurants Board. She is one of the owners of Annabelle's Kitchen. Brett Ireland from Last Best and Wood Buffalo. They would have been the two people that came up with the conception of we need to have our own association in Alberta because during COVID, the government at the time was just not listening to our industry at all. It was, our industry, aesthetics, and fitness that were the 3 industries that were shut down, right? Isolated and shut down, right? So, they came up with the idea to construct an Alberta Hospitality Association. And then from there, Leslie started to reach out and organize us onto, at that time, Zoom calls, and say, hey, what do we have to do to get the government to listen? And at that time, the key piece was media. The media was excellent to our industry in getting out, this is what's happening to an owner that has their mortgage tied into their business or a personal guarantee tied into the business, right? So Leslie and Brett did an amazing job of getting that association started, for sure.
And then how have you enjoyed being a part of that?
Have I enjoyed it? I love it, man. You get to our current board is absolutely amazing. Our vice president from Red Deer, Brennan Woke, who has Bo's Bar and Grill. That guy is like hardworking but brilliant. So it's great to be around other brilliant and smart entrepreneurs, right?
So, as in being an entrepreneur, starting off, and you've obviously had mentors in your life and stuff like that, because you'd mentioned those before. Who's been one of your key mentors?
Oh man, like just here, like I know we're in Mackenzie Town here, but I got my start when I was 16. I snuck into Denny Andrews back in the day. Found out that, like there's a back door where everyone would have a smoke, and snuck through that back door, grabbed a bus pan and just started working. Yeah. Yeah, because one of my friend's brothers was at the kitchen table. He was a bartender there at the time, and he was complaining about to his buddies. He's like, "Hey man, I can't, like, I would give the buzzer $50 if you could keep us stocked up on short glasses throughout the night." So I snuck in through the back door and then just started grabbing a bus pan and started like grabbing glassware and going to the bars. And then I think the first night I worked, I got like $50 cash. Like the bartenders were like, "Hey, good job today, good job today." Then as time went on, I was like pulling about $200 cash. When the managers had asked me, "Hey, like, we don't have you on payroll," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, yeah. I talked to Cindy over there. It's all good, right? Like, I'm sure it'll come at one point or another, right?" So, but my start, and I was blessed. The first mentor I had in this industry was Todd Perkins at the Seahorse Pub and Restaurant, which was owned by Claudios Group, and it is now Dixon's in Minnapore there. So, yeah, it was an awesome restaurant to get my start and cut my teeth.
Man, when you look back and then it's like a blast from the past, and you go back to let's like even say the '88 Olympics, right? When the bar, so when we were talking Denny Andrews, okay, or
And Electric Avenue, 88 Olympics, Electric Avenue, yeah.
And what happened that people don't realize that there was no bars before that. You used to have to go to taverns. And then all of a sudden, Electric Avenue pops up, Claudios pops up.
Claudios, what a chain, yeah.
Oh, and what were the greatest experiences going through that to where it is today? Because now look at the places you have today and you own today,
Yeah.
and beer,
Yeah.
craft beer versus back then.
Versus back then when it was $1.50 Thursdays. So it was $1.50 highballs, $1.50 bottles, $1.50 draft. And man, like the Claudios group, I'll take the Seahorse, the King's Head, right, as an example. Those girls that used to serve there, they'd have like a tray, all beer, a tray on top, all highballs, fire it over their head and go through a crowd of 200 people. It was like to see the amount of volume and craziness back then. It was awesome. Like just it was just great. It was just great way to learn how to work hard, because the harder you work, the more money you make.
Yeah. And now we'll go back and then let's call the Red Mile. Okay. So they named the Red Mile obviously after the flames going down there and the chaos.
Twice, yep.
And the chaos back, let's just use that particular time, the Red Mile to an Electric Avenue. Just the one, it'd probably just be a one night thing.
Yeah, the Red Mile, similar to Electric Avenue, but definitely more crazy. Like when I had Classic Jacks and 1410 on the mile, especially Classic Jacks, it was crazy. Like those, we were looking at some old videos from the Red Mile, the first run, and it was like we had kegs out there. We were doing keg stands, and when we look back, it was like, you know what, AGLC and the police actually did a good job of getting that, more like less chaos, especially for the residents in the area. But yeah.
So looking at today, fast forward, here we are, and you had the Edmonton Oilers, okay, and you're an Oilers fan.
Yeah, I am.
And looking at, which is awesome, and you look at Trolley 5 during that run. How was that?
During the Oilers run?
During the Oilers run.
It was amazing. It was awesome. It was and it was great. I don't know if you guys got to see, but we did, for every Oilers game, we required reservations to show up with food for the food bank. So, we raised like, I can't remember how many thousands of pounds of food, but the food bank was ecstatic. And it was, during that Oilers run, to be able to give back to the food bank during a time when the food bank is at its lowest was even better. So, but it was awesome to see how many Oilers fans are in the city. We were probably capping out 550 people in that building a night, all in Oilers jerseys. It was just great.
And when you look at the hours that you spend and dealing with Trolley 5, because that place is a landmark right now. Everybody knows it. Everybody's seen it. The media elevates towards your restaurant on anything that's happening out there. Big difference from years ago.
Years ago during COVID?
It could be, no, even before COVID.
Yeah, being a brewery, a community brewery, which we have so many amazing breweries in this city. Like, look at how many great breweries we've got. I think it was just a culmination of making sure that we're a good piece of the community. We're giving back. I used to coach across the street for over 20 years, right? Coach volleyball at Western for over 20 years there. Hiring local students and local athletes. And I think it's just been a culmination of being a true community brew pub. Yeah.
And you look at so all the kids that you've coached at Western, right across the street, and
Team
how
Alberta,
many, and how many actually come over and say, I'm looking for a job.
Oh, I've had a lot of players come work for us. A lot, male and female. It's been great. It's been great. And athletes are the best to hire because they're coachable. I'm not talking just about my athletes. I'll take Mount Royal University right now, the men's program. If any of those players came to me and asked for a job, I wouldn't even look at their resume. I'm like, you play for Sean Sky, you're hired. Like, it wouldn't even be a question. And none of those players I have ever hired have ever failed us. They've been excellent. The football players that we've had work for us from Western University or University of Regina, outstanding. Like, athletes are excellent. They're excellent employees. They're great to hire.
So when you're looking, let's get into that a little bit more. So you get the athletes that are looking for a job. So a young guy doesn't have or a young lady that doesn't have a good resume and not an athlete, what would you say to them to actually inspire them to get a job? Like, what are you looking for?
To work at Trolley 5?
Correct.
Yeah, we want people that are coachable, that have a good hard work ethic. And that are grateful to be working in a location that has a great management team and allows them to make very good money while they're in school or while they're saving up to go traveling or what have you, right? So, my advice when I'm talking to youth that are trying to get into our industry, I'm like, hey, then you've got to make sure that you have open availability. It can't be, I only work on these days. I don't work past this time. You've got to have, same thing with your industry right now, right? The construction industry is experiencing it where it's like, well, I'm not here past 3:00. It's like, well, the sun's up. Like, we gotta make hay here. So, we've been very blessed. We've got a great team at Trolley 5. We have a number of staff that started with us at 16 years old and are now 22 still with us. So it's a great industry.
So as young entrepreneurs wanting to start up their own restaurant or bar, okay, as I say it tongue in cheek, pitfalls, things to watch out for.
Costs. Yeah, it's our industry is very, very tough right now. Materials from wood to nails to, brick, everything. And then now food, liquor, supply chain management, shipping, everything is very expensive, right? So, but if you come in with the right formula and you come in with, great standards of service and quality, then you're going to be okay. But it is not for the faint of heart. Like our industry, you're working, and if you're an owner, you're working a lot. Like you're upwards 65, 70 hours a week for sure.
So 65 to 70 hours a week, and then you have time for volleyball and coaching.
Make time. That's that's my time.
Yeah.
And blessed and grateful because the kids they'll always bring bring you back into perspective, right? I'm helping out at the Mount Royal right now, and you talk about mentorship, underneath one of the best coaches I regard in the country, Sean Sky, right? And I've been doing women for over 25 years, from Western to Team Alberta to club to coach to Sate for 4 years, right? To go to the men's side, be able to see how Sean operates there, it's been outstanding.
So these young athletes, okay, and I'm gonna phrase it around entrepreneurship because they're young, moldable, being able to be inspired and pressed to the next limit. What do you see their greatest gifts are as young athletes?
Coachable. They're coachable. The athletes that we have come work for us, we had 3 of the players come from the women's team and work for us this summer. Very coachable. The managers were over the moon with them. They loved working with them. They love having them. Number 2 is, when you're in a team sport, personality, you good aura, right? And that's what we always want to have around our customers for sure.
So I want to break it down a little bit even more. You mentioned, we just went into the coachable. What is coachable?
Taking direction, being able to maintain standards, and being able to take criticism. And this is what I do love about sports. It's, if a manager's speaking to you, they're not criticizing you as a person. They might be criticizing the act or the points of service at that point in time for the customer, right? We have to remove the emotion when it comes out of that. So, and that's where athletes have that thicker skin, and they're already coachable because there's no way they're making a university team unless they have that piece. So
it's kind of like they have to have thicker skin, meaning they're not taking it personally, understanding the act of what was wrong needs to be corrected, but I'm not going to take it personal so I can build on the act.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's about the guest. Right. So, for us in our industry, it's like, hey, remove all the emotion out of it. Is Table 105 having great service right now or not? Right? Like, that's how we have to look at it.
So if you were to look right now, here we are. What's in it for Ernie in the next 5 years?
Oh man, it's going to be a busy next 5 years. We've expanded into a 19,000 square foot production facility in the Northeast. A brewery and a distillery. So now we're 100% producing all of our own product. The next 5 years is going to be focused on really stabilizing our brewery and our sales that are out in the market right now. We're very blessed to be in a lot of other restaurants and bars and pubs as well as liquor stores across the province, and then our expansion into selling into Saskatchewan and BC. I think that's a big key piece for us.
So what's the name of the top beer?
Oh man, well, Turntable Lager just got Best Lager in Canada in 2023, 24 at the Canadian Brewing Awards, and then back to back it just got bronze again. So the Turntable Lager has been definitely our number one. First Crush White IPA is right behind it. Cloudy Days, like all of our beers, have won at least 2 awards. So it's been great to see.
So with all these awards that you're going to win with the beer side, right? Is there something there that you're actually looking forward to even having more excitement? Like, is there a world-renowned beer?
Well, on the beer side, you just want to make sure you're producing beer that's customers love and they're drinking, right? So Turntable is kind of near and dear to PJ and I. We were both DJs at one point coming up in the industry. The logo for Turntable Lager is the Tech 1200 that we used to spin on. So yeah, for us, it's about producing great beer that brings people together. And I know it sounds very, cliche or quiche, but to us, that's what it's about. When you're in the industry, as long as we've been in, this is what it's about. It's being able to sit down with people, have a great beer and shoot the shit.
That is awesome. So is there any one last thing you want to talk about?
No, I'm excited to see the city like bustling right now and getting excited for the new event center. That's going to be a key piece to giving the whole city a punch in the arm, energy wise. And on the art side, man, look at how many concerts we'll now be able to bring in. And wow, what a great job with the new BMO expansion. It is. Have you been down?
Yes.
It is outstanding. Like, it is great. Great to see.
And soon they're going to have that whole 17th Avenue opened right up, and then it's going to be horse-drawn carriages all the way down, and a trolley, 5 actual subway going all the way down, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I hope. That it would be nice if they brought back a trolley car system just for some nostalgia, for sure.
You know what? We just had a great episode with Ernie here. You know what? We get back into the Q&A questions. So, Ernie, do you have any questions for me?
Well, man, like you're an entrepreneur. Where do you think the state of the city is right now? Elections coming up in 1 year here. So how do you feel about the state of the city?
You know, the city of Calgary, is it going in the right direction or the wrong direction? The thing is to ask ourselves a better question. What are we as individuals doing to help the city accomplish its goals? Yes, it's going into a direction of this or that, but you know what? We have to ask ourselves, what am I doing to make it a better place? Yes, there's construction over here. Yes, there's this happening. But I need to voice my opinion. I need to make sure that everybody hears it, and I need to vote. I need to make sure that I'm a part of the solution, not a part of the problem. So,
Yeah, man. Well said.
thank you.
Awesome. Thanks.
Now you know. Shed Talk.